Hi everyone.
Since we're little in the room and we can have it a more interactive way rather than being me telling what's happening and what is right and what is wrong and what is my experiences. Actually, we can simply share and feel free to introduce whatever ideas that you come up with whenever you want. The idea of gender diversity and the importance of it to me came when I started looking into how much I was asked during my days in investment banking to act like a man. When I was promoted to vice president, what happened was, and what happened, the first thing that my boss came and told me, Marwa, come on, today, please act like a man. In that game, seniority, there's no room for women. There's no room for you to be soft, to be empathetic, to be flexible. No. I want you assertive, solid, understanding, analytical, and simply to the deepest details, I want you to be done. I want you to perform and experience life from a different perspective now. Currently, as a VP for an investment bank, you cannot be a woman anymore. As simple as that. And I was surprised. What brought me to that level as a VP is simply because I'm a woman. It's because I'm interrelated, interactive with others. I relate with the senior, with the mid, with the junior, and that's exactly why I was on top of my job. And that's exactly why I got the promotion to a vice president. But surprisingly, he said, well, no, this is not it. I'm not sure if each and every one of you is passing by this experience or no at work. Women, do you do that?
Well, you do come across certain situations like that,
Where
you're supposed, apparently, the female figure is less of preference when it comes to male.
Okay. How about you? You don't seem agreeing.
Perhaps it's because I act like a man in the office.
Okay. That's it. Yeah. We have a huge tendency to act like a man in the office. Yeah. How about men? Are you openly... Sorry? Again, so back to here. We have a woman getting into the conversation. So how about you?
Well, I'm a woman in every, the way I act, the way I move. But when I need to speak up, I speak up. I even engage men in the office in discussions, and sometimes I quarrel with them if I have to.
Yeah, but
quarrel in the sense that what I mean is I engage them in discussion, I'm argumentative if I have to, so that I could push through what I want. I'm a senior reporter of the Gulf today.
Yeah.
So, and a journalism in the newspaper industry, yes, they say it's a man's world, but it's not. Probably it's the way I've been oriented. I'm a Filipino, and within my family, among my relatives, the women are given that high respect, and men also listen to them.
Okay, so it's a cultural aspect because of her culture, because of her family, because her upbringing when she was young, when she was a girl, she was never told that you're a girl, don't do.
Yes.
And on the opposite side as well, I found that from my experience and from my coaching, being a coach, I experienced a number of people coming to me, telling me about how they struggle in the workplace. And lately, I started realizing that men as well are struggling. Men I ask to be softer, to be more empathetic, to look more into the bigger picture, to interact more with women and allow them to be who they are. And they are not allowed to actually act fiercely, firmly, and focus to the extent that they don't see the bigger picture. They need just to focus, hunt, and get a result. We ask them more to be process-driven rather than result-driven, and it's not their nature. Are you facing this at work?
Myself?
Yeah?
No, actually I'm not facing. In fact, I have worked under the British management where the general manager was a lady and she was able to deliver everything not in the aspect of becoming a man, but in the aspect of in the woman itself, keeping her position in a proper place, and she was able to deliver, and she was able to cooperate and coordinate with all the other male and other female office people. So that I don't feel that it is all only the outward appearance. That's only a question of dominance to show the man that I am more superior than you, and you will better listen to me what I am saying.
Okay.
So this is a pure dominance, and they want to show off in front of others, whoever it may be, whether it's a vice president or a president. So I am having the control on that lady. So this is basically that's the only thing which I feel. But
That's
actually,
the
it's only
perspective.
show off. It's only show off.
Okay, so show off is a perspective.
Yes.
How about you?
Okay, I'm coming from the IT industry, so there's not many women colleagues I have. But I can tell you there's a paradigm shift the way software is being developed. So traditionally there was this project management style, and it's shifting to agile software development where the whole team is taking responsibility and you don't have a project manager, you don't have a big boss. Everybody is trying to be more empathetic, talking to each other, and this kind of way is becoming more and more relevant. Maybe it's connected to the topic that you're talking about.
Okay, and so it's more relevant
Yes.
to be able to empathize more, speak more, have a little bit chit-chat here and there around the work environment?
Yes.
Okay. How about you?
My friend doesn't speak English so much, and he's an entrepreneur. He's running a squash court, known enterprise job.
Okay, which is definitely something that we'll be looking forward to discuss as well. And when I decided not to act like a man, when I decided to simply act like a woman and have the bigger picture, have a broader understanding of how I could develop life into the way it is for me, rather than just being someone, a replica of something else, I was introduced to something that they started telling me, okay, you can think like a woman, but still act like a man. So it's okay for you to think like a woman. It's okay for you to go into the space of bigger picture, interaction, softness, empathy, realization of the group, building the group rather than counting on your own skills, being proactive rather than, or coactive rather than being proactive or reactive. And again, it was very hard for me to act again in that space. As women, it's easier for us to be interrelated. It's easier for us to depend on others as much as others depend on us in performing, in building the group, in building the team, in enriching and nurturing the environment that we operate in. And that's exactly the flavor that where I was working needed at the time. It's a flavor of more than achievement, result, a number by the end of the month. It's a flavor of being there, interacting and helping the entire environment, the entire community to grow up and build itself up and up. I'm not sure. Is it the same way that you are acting back in the office? When you said you act like a man in the office, what did you mean about that?
Well, I think it depends on the office environment in which you work. Some offices may have women who behave differently, but within my office environment, and I'm not going to say where that is,
Yeah.
girls can be, I don't know, rather gossipy, rather petulant, rather tempestuous, rather argumentative, rather niggly about things that aren't important, and I'm a little bit more focused, a little bit more driven, a little bit more direct. Keep myself to myself. So perhaps that's what I meant.
And
so
you
within my office environment.
Yeah, and you believe that this is a man's time?
Doesn't have to be, but it's slightly more similar to the men within my office.
So you're comparing yourself to the women in the workplace.
In
your workplace,
yes.
And it seems to be that your tendency is to work as
slightly more like the men around me.
Around you.
Yes.
And this is exactly the perception that we come up with, that men work this way and women work this way. Although I believe, from my experience and from the people I have noticed and from the people I have interacted with, that as a human, we have the full spectrum. We have, when needed, women can be focused. When needed, women can be right to the target. When needed, again, men can simply be who they are, creative, can look into the bigger picture, can look into the details of the tiny, elegant, whatever things that are happening all around us. But again, it's the more the community around us asks for equality, and the more the community around us asks us to abide by the stereotyping that we have been brought up through. And it's universal. I thought when I was younger that stereotyping men and women is a Middle Eastern thing. The more I worked in a multicultural environment, I realized that it's not a Middle Eastern thing. It's universal. Everywhere they have a tendency of stereotyping what women are all about and what men are all about. A friend of mine works in an international company, and one of his KPIs to be achieved through the year, and he's assessed through it, is hiring women. It's like, when I said it's about quality, it's about how can she do it or not do it. He said, no, it cannot be. I have a KPI. I have to hire on a yearly basis 3 women in my team. It's like, what? And the nature of the team that he's handling are engineers on an oil rig in the middle of the sea. So what he needed to do is, he had to restructure the entire thing in the favor of women. He had to allow women to stay alone and not mix rooms, because none of the women he hired is willing to share a room with a man on the rig. He had to change the design of coveralls to suit women rather than it being designed for men. And more and more and more and more, to the extent that it's near impossible for him to function under such KPI. And it's an international company that is extremely proud of their number on employing women. That itself, I believe, is inequality. Forcing a female inside an environment that is not ready for it just to achieve a number and seem to be equal in front of the universe is not in the favor of anyone. Him having it as a KPI, as a manager, to hire a woman in such an environment that is not ready for it, in itself is inequality. This is not equality. This is something that is fully forced into an environment that cannot serve the purpose. And when I argued, he said, actually, no one understands. Just don't go down that road. The best thing is find women that would be able to at least fit in the place in a way or another. Let me just check my KPI. When I got surprised, for example, when politicians speak about, when women are 50% in a parliament, that would be equality. What if they cannot function? What if, why would I take a man's right that he can earn on his own and just give it to a woman on a silver platter? I think with such policies and with such practices, women are getting diminished into that. You cannot do it your own. We'll take care of you and allow you a present of being existing. Which is, again, total different story than, yes, we're capable on our own way. And men are capable on their own way, on their own structure and their own approach and their own mentality. It's a total different setup. And the more I see diversity in organizations, the more I see it happening, the more I believe that it cannot run on one gender. The reality of living is all about sharing both. Because the qualities men bring into the space and the qualities women bring into the space are both equally needed. And asking the space to turn into a mutant environment that men and women are supposed to abide by a certain structure or a certain way or a certain manner that both of them should be into is harming the environment, harming the workplace environment. The diversity, the beauty of what women can bring equally, what men can bring into the workplace, into the society, and with respecting, celebrating, and cherishing who we are as our nature, and not trying to wear a mask or an armor to operate behind, is extremely crucial. Since the beginning of our children, in schools, in universities, we tend to tell girls what to do and what not to do. We tend to divert and direct mindset of, well, because you're a girl, you can do that and you cannot do that. And because you're a boy, you cannot do that and you can do that. So, because you're a boy, you have to be aggressive, you have to be strong, and you have to fight back as much as you can, and you are allowed to bully everywhere, and. And because you're a girl, you have to be soft, you have to be simple, you have to be quiet, and when you fight, it is a little bit, has to be done with elegancy. You cannot fight the way you can fight like a man, like a boy. So the diversity of understanding of what a woman can do or what a man can do is something that is totally embedded since the beginning of our education, since the beginning of how we can. Since the beginning when our parents said, because you're a man or because you're a boy, you can simply use a gun and play police. And because you're a girl, you can only play with dolls. Yes, it's our nature, it's our tendency. But is it an enforced tendency or an enforced nature on us? Is it something that we have to abide with? And I see you smiling.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I recognize myself here.
Aha! How do you recognize yourself here?
No, I mean, this is right, what you said, about like, since we are very young, our, parents teach us that we should act this way or do this thing, this is true.
Yeah. And it grows with us.
Definitely.
Until we are adults. And here comes stereotyping. And here come us allowing ourselves to step into that space. For my entire banking life, I worked in banking for 10 years. I've been acting like a man. And I lost my soul and myself into something that I don't know how to operate. It's like installing Windows on an Apple laptop and blaming the laptop that it's not operating. Well, how can I operate without my default system? How can I operate without being who I am authentically and deeply inside my heart. And how can I be operating properly when I am ashamed of who I am? When I cannot be what my nature is all about? And through experience and through it happening once and twice and thrice, I realized the only settlement and the only beauty is me cherishing, understanding, and actually living the way I see it right, rather than what is dictated from the environment that I'm living in. It's highly important for me to live as a woman, to act like a woman, and to lead as a woman. Leadership, women leadership is a total different perspective. Women leadership is about coactivity, it's about being interdependent, it's about nurturing, it's about growing. It is about reaching results, but with a total different process in the middle. I don't need to use the preset process of leadership, the preset process of managing, the preset process of being in the workplace. It is something very important for us to realize that each and every gender is equally needed in the environments that we are living in. It's not about me doing what men do, and not about men doing what I do. It's about actually each and every one of us playing their own role, their own way, because you'll never excel if you are into the body of someone else. You can never run with a shoe that is not your size. You can never go further, more, proceed. If you're using the wrong operating system, it will never happen. Yes, hiccups, falls, injuries will always take yourself and be part of your journey if you're into the wrong body, the wrong mindset, the wrong belief, and the wrong understanding. The more we act like other genders, out of the sense of, I have to be equal, so I would choose a job that a man would do and start jumping into it, just simply because I need to prove myself as equal as men are. It's not about that. It's not about competing into the muscly, physical, or structural process. It's about excelling the way you are. Success for me and equality for me come when I can reach where I want to reach by being a woman. Only that. When I can be where I want to be, not because policy allowed me to be there, as the international company I was speaking about, that my boss has to hire a woman, so he picked me out of whatever came because he has to hire a woman because it is part of his KPI, and his bonus will be affected negatively if he doesn't hire a woman. This is not where I find my equality. This is totally unequal. This is a total diminishing for who I am as a woman. And equally on the other side, for men, if men are asked to simply step back for women to be there, it's a total aggression against who they are. Unless both gender earn their positioning, earn their place, their own way, then we're not speaking equality. Unless both genders act, be, and do as their nature compels, then we're not speaking about equality. We're speaking about an enforced structure creating a mutant thing in the middle that I don't understand how the future will be for such people. It's totally ridiculous if I am only there because simply I have to. It's a must to hire a woman. Or I am only there because I cannot be promoted because this role as a VP is reserved for a woman. Where is equality in that? It cannot be. it's a challenge that I believe men and women should go through and actually fight for their own rights. Me fighting for being a woman, that's my right. Not being like a man, not acting like a man, and not creating policies that would serve me to step into the space where my success should be earned. Equally, why would men step back and give us this space to grow and be while we are not earning it on our own selves? If we are to name equality, if we are to manifest equality, then we have to earn it our own way. Not the way that the world perceives it to be happening. That's where I can see it. And I'm very open for whatever you're willing to say.
Yes, actually I totally agree, and I can see what you're talking about in Europe. They try now to put like the policies for equality. You have to have, and I totally agree because it has no sense. You need to earn your space, your position, and everything. The only question I'm asking myself is, yes, this is in like the concept, right? But in general, what I have noticed, the policies of the big companies and less big companies is really a male-oriented policy. It fits to the man mentality, but not to the woman mentality.
I've worked with international banks, international investment banks, and I've earned my space as a vice president under these policies, and it was never aggressive to me. I was always, when I wanted to earn my position, welcomed with a clap. Being a woman, being covered with a veil, being dark, being Egyptian, all the space for something to be taken against me was there. I was, in a period of time, fought because of nationality, because of race, because of religion, because of color, and I didn't settle for it. I didn't play the victim role and say, well, they have to change the policy for me to be existing. No, you cannot call for policy changing for you to be existing. You have to prove yourself to the extent that the culture of the place accepts your existence, whether they like it or not. And that's exactly what happened. I was the only veiled person, actually not person, I was the only veiled woman on a senior level at that investment bank. And it was not about it not being a male-dominant environment. No, it's about I earned it the hard way. And I've done it being a woman rather than being a man. I've created, I've reflected, I've made management see that my existence in that space is of a need. It's not about them ticking a box. It's about my qualities, abilities, and capabilities at that space that would allow me to be there.
But what about if you come across, I have a very good friend who works in a male-dominated company. She's very high up, and she's the only woman of her position within this company. It's an international company. Yet at every single meeting, the men in the group don't agree with her, even though she knows her policies are correct, even though she's come from the UK, and in the UK she was highly respected. They were a lot more open to the fact that she was at her level, not only she's still in her 20s, but female. And the men in the UK accepted it. Everything that she put forward was ticked, it went, it worked, she made money for the company. Over here, she's really, really struggling, even though she's got the same policies, and she's a very, very smart girl, but she happens to be surrounded by men that perhaps don't like the idea.
I highly agree. When I was stepping into boardrooms, and with my size, and with my look, they felt like, really? That's exactly the attitude and the approach I was always faced with. Are you serious? You? The minute she fully believes in herself and don't open her heart to, are you serious? You? The minute she puts herself forward with full belief from the deep of her heart, at the minute I started doubting myself, I lost it all. I was never been able to close a case when I was questioning my existing at that position and at that space. When I allowed men to step on my toes, I lost it. When I stood high, full belief, deep inside my heart, that it is happening my way because I know for true, authentically, that it's right. It worked. And it's not only with me. I coach numerous amount of people that are facing the same problem that your friend is facing. Senior position, young ladies, in a male-dominant environment, specifically flying from outside. And the common challenge that they face is not the challenge that they face in the room with the male element. It's the challenge they face with their worth that they have to themselves. How they worth themselves in this male-dominant environment, and what their internal beliefs toward their abilities, capabilities, towards this male-dominant environment. Is she getting in as, it's too tough, it's too hard, or I'll do it, whether they like it or not. There is an approach of being there, being existing. Creating your existence takes hardship. And I know if your friend simply, fully had the approach of her self-talk that existence is earned in that place and she'll earn it her way rather than allowing them to step on her toe, her approach will be totally different. I hope so. What else? What other challenges you face in your communities and the place that you work in schools, in universities, in workplace, in the streets? I was coaching one of the bands today, and simply, the minute I stepped into the place, that guy was sitting there and started telling me, well, leave this table for the women. When they can stack themselves there. Okay. And I hardly stood for myself and said, well, being them stacked there or not is their choice. Leave it to them. Choose your place and serve yourself, and trust me, we'll all be happy. I was not offended. I was not cornered into the space of, oh my God, what am I supposed to do in front of that man that is racist against women? No, I didn't allow him to take that space in my heart, in my soul, in my mind. On the contrary, I stood for me and I took this space and proven myself to be earning the space where I'm standing in front of those people. So it's all about how much are we, men and women, are preserving our rights to our own existence, to ourselves. How much are we, men and women, are worthing ourselves? Do I worth myself through my gender? Do I worth myself through my position? Do I worth myself through my results? Or do I worth myself through my qualities, abilities, capabilities, values, that no one else could take it away from me? If we started worthing ourselves through our values, through our beliefs, through our qualities, abilities, and capabilities, whether I am a VP or an office boy, whether I am a woman or a man, my space is kept. And strongly, I'm grounded enough to keep my space and actually interact and act according to who I am rather than who I should be. Would you agree with that or no? What would be the challenges if we all started, men and women, operating out of worth, out of a space of worth, to who we actually are, not who we should be. What would be the possibilities, the potentials of us growing into who we are rather than who we should or should not be? If that happened, I believe only then equality is. It cannot happen in force. It has to grow into the space and the understanding of each and every one of us, heart, mind, and soul, rather than it being simply given from a policymaker. Whether it's on a community level, whether it is on a workplace level, or whether it is on a personal level. How long would women keep waiting for the policy to change to allow them to be? How long would men keep stepping back because the policy is forcing them to step back and open the space for women? There is no fairness in this. If we are fighting to exist, if we are fighting to create, if we are both needed in the space of existence, then both of us should contribute to our own existence with our own way, rather than waiting for it to be granted for us.
There's a saying, let your work speak.
Yeah?
Yeah, and you've mentioned a number of times how you worth yourself, how you put worth on your position, on your gender. Yeah, I'm a Filipina, and sometimes it's, oh, you're a Filipina and a woman, and so I will show you how. I'm going to show you how I am and who I am through my work. But that also calls me that it's also a challenge for me to say, yeah, I'm going to give my worth on my work. I'm going to show you that I am intelligent. I know how to go about my work. I know how to go around gathering news more than you know.
Yeah.
That's it.
And it's now about your abilities and capabilities. It's not about your possessions.
True.
It's not about your nationality.
Yes.
It's not about your title. It's about your intelligence. It's about your
And sometimes
smartness.
it's the newspaper, no? Are you from Gulf Today? So, if I am from what Gulf Today?
That's it. We start worthing ourselves through our assets. And the more we worth ourselves through our assets, men or women, the more we take away equality. Because it's not anymore something that we have. It's something that if taken from us, we're broken. It's an asset. And if your asset is taken away from you, you're broken. But if your values, your abilities, capabilities are highly cherished, celebrated, embraced, it would never be taken away from you. You cannot tomorrow give on or give away your smartness. You can never tomorrow, whoever you are, man or woman, be robbed of your fun side. Your what other qualities? Your flexibility, your fluidity, your passion, your joy. These are the things that, if possessed properly, equality will exist. These are the things that no one can take away from you. Whoever the setup that you will be operating in, if you're flexible, if you're productive, if you're encouraging, if you're courageous, if you're brave, if you're whatever value you value, they will all stick to you. You cannot tomorrow not be who you are. But tomorrow, yes, you can be not a vice president anymore. Tomorrow, you can be out of your gut needs. Tomorrow, you can be out of your whatever job. But real, actual equality between men and women is both of them cherishing, embracing, loving the way they are, their qualities, their values, not their titles and what the policy have allowed them in a space of work, or in a space of community, or in a space of school or university. So, what do you think? Do you agree or disagree? Tell me.
Yeah, I agree. The work of a person is what he has, his intrinsic values, not the extrinsic ones. If, say, for example, if I value what I have, the material things, what I have, and I lose these things, then I think it's not the way that I should weigh myself how I am. Without these things, if it's still inside, I have my intrinsic values.
Yeah.
I can still show the people that I am worth doing a thing. Yeah, but of course my feet should be on the ground. Okay, we say that with power comes responsibility.
Definitely, definitely. And the more you're grounded into who you are, the more the space opens for you. The more you're shaken, the more you are in the hand, you're a toy in the hands of others, whether they are men, women, or policymaker, or teachers, or university doctors, or whatever, managers, leaders. It's very important for equality to happen, to really, really, each and every gender understand exactly what it is all about to be that. To be a woman or to be a man. And by the way, it's personal. What's important for me could totally have no relation to you. And again, stereotyping and generalizing what it could be and what it should be takes away our right in equality. And it enforces inequality in every aspect of it. So, my message to everyone is simply accept differences. Embrace who you are, the way you are, and as much as you can, be who you are. Without it, there is no equality. Unless you respect you, no one else will respect you. Unless you worth you, no one else would worth you. Unless you open the space for yourself to be, no one else would offer you this. It's all about what you do to you, whether you're a man or a woman. And only then equality will be manifested.
In other words, I would say it's the belief in ourselves.
I agree. Yeah. It's how much we believe on who we are that makes hell of a difference. Thank you so much for your presence. And I'm open for any discussions, any challenges. And please feel free to send me an email or send me a Facebook inbox thing or whatever, and enrich my experience, because this is only perception that I have lately realized. And I love to share with you. Tomorrow, I could come with a different perception. Your experiences, your ideas, your understanding on how things could be or could not be enriches the perception that I look and present in front of other people. Thank you so much for your presence.